Hello and what's up, YouTube? We are here with the Incursion League FAQ that GGG has come out with over the last several hours in response to many community-related questions, some of which we addressed in our last video, actually, about just how many players were wondering about the details of the Temple of Atzoatl, as well as some various quality of life questions. So we're going to see how, today we're going to see in our hype video exactly how GGG has responded to a lot of the community's questions and responses to the Incursion League hype trailer. So first off, how often will I see Alva Valai spawn? Alva spawns in every area from the mudflats onwards. This excludes side areas like master missions. She will also spawn in every endgame map you enter. This may exclude unique maps, but we're not yet able to confirm. Next question, will my incursion load with my map or area? Yes, the incursion is loaded as you enter the area. This means that there are no loading screens before you enter an incursion. However, when Alva spawns the final temple, she opens 6 portals for you to enter, where you will encounter a loading screen on your way there because it's a large separate area. That's pretty important because that means that there's no break in immersion. There's no split. There's no separation between the moment when you load into a map or load into a zone, and then it's not like in Abyssal Depths where you have to load into an additional area, which is pretty awesome. There's not an additional loading screen. What monster item level will the incursions in temple be? Incursions are the same level as the area they are contained within. The level of the final temple is the average of the levels of the incursions that led to it, plus a few levels. The intent is that it'll be pretty close to your level while you are progressing, unless you skip areas or do low-level incursions way below your level. Again, so if, let's say, a temple spawns every 11 incursions, if you do 5 incursions, in Act 1, 2, and 3, and then you don't do any more incursions until you get to mapping, then you're going to have a really weird-looking temple because the aggregate of that, like the average plus a few levels, is going to be way below you by the time you're at mapping. So you're going to want to actually rinse and repeat. If you actually interact with any of the incursions, you're going to want to get to the temple, run through the temple once or twice as you're leveling, just to experience the content before you get to maps, probably. Unless you're a racer, in which case you never want to touch it until you get to maps. Do your map mods affect your incursions in Final Temple? When you open a map, your incursion will be affected by all of the mods of that map. The Final Temple has its own in-game game instance and will not inherit any map mods because it gets its mods from the rooms it contains. For example, if your map has players are cursed with vulnerability, then the players in that map's incursion will be cursed by vulnerability. If it has 30% pack size, then the incursion packs will be 30% larger. If it has monsters have 100% quantity of items found, it will cause the item fountain at the end of your incursion to drop more items. Pretty awesome. What does the Tier 3 Temple Nexus Room do? Rooms surrounding a Tier 3 Temple Nexus Room will be 1 tier higher, capped at 3. How does the implicit mod on the String of Servitude unique belt work? So this was the unique belt that we looked at a couple of days ago that said, hey, you just triple your implicits. The item drops pre-corrupted, and the implicit will be a tripled version of any belt corruption mod. The new mod shown on the item is already tripled. To be clear, this item doesn't triple the implicit mods on other items that you have equipped. So this kind of throws out the window the idea that, hey, if you've corrupted something that has, oh my goodness, +1 to frenzy or maximum endurance charges, now it's going to be +3. Nope, that got thrown out the window. Scrap that. Can we turn off the motion blur inside incursions? The version of this effect shown in the trailer was amplified for effect. The version that exists in-game has been toned down and can be turned off. That was not an answer that we knew about the other day. So you can actually turn off the incursion motion blur simply by disabling post-processing. So that's pretty cool. Will there be a fixed number of incursions to complete before entering the final temple, or are there mechanics to alter it? It will be a fixed number of roughly 11. We're only using estimates for now until we confirm what the exact number will be. It may be higher in maps than regular areas so that you have more opportunities to get good rooms. So that's a great response. I love that response where they're being slightly ambiguous, just so that way we don't get our hopes up and say, GGG, you said during the hype and during the trailer and in your FAQ, you said it was going to be a set number and now it's not. They're at least couching themselves to say, hey, we've got a month before the release, or we're just under 3 weeks away from release. We're going to take our time, we're going to balance this, and we're still working on it. Is there a fixed temple layout each day? So in other words, is the temple the same thing as the lab? No, the layout starts randomly generated for you and changes based on the actions that you perform during the incursions. You'll get a new random layout every time you complete the final temple after each set of 11 incursions. Real world time has no impact on it, so it's not like it resets. There's not a daily map to go through or a daily layout to reset. How does party play work? Whichever party member opens the instance will have their temple or incursion spawn. Party members can participate in each other's temples and incursions, but their actions in another player's incursions and temples will not affect their own temple layout. Same thing as what we said about the Atlas. Can we redo our 11 upgrades? Yes, you can repeat your incursion runs, but they will be different each time. Once you complete the 11 incursions and complete the final temple, you'll start a new set of 11 again. Essentially, you'll complete a temple every act during the core game and then every 11 or so maps. Does the temple reset automatically after 11 incursions, or is it something you can choose? You won't be able to complete any more incursions until you enter the full temple in the present day. If you wanted to, you could simply enter it and leave it again to reset it without running it, but you'll be foregoing many rewards. So let's say, for instance, you ran a really, really bad temple that you didn't want to set up, or you made some mistakes in your incursion design. Totally fine. You simply pop open incursions until you get to 11, and then you reset, you re-go. It's not that big a deal. Do you only earn items once you've completed the whole temple? You'll get a fountain of items at the end of each incursion, and if you're careful with your temple upgrading, you can earn some very valuable rewards from the final temple. It's a treasure temple, after all, which is just awesome. Do you have to get the same incursion rooms twice in a row to be able to upgrade it? You don't need to get them consecutively in order to upgrade, just sometime in your 11 incursions before the final temple. Since it's random, which incursion rooms you land in, is it possible to be locked out of some rooms in the present day temple if you weren't sent into a connecting room? Yes, it is possible to be locked out of rooms. That's what the explosives room is for. Interesting. So some sort of mechanic where, hey, we're locked out, but we blew our way in anyway. Can maps drop from the end of your incursions? Yes. Architects and magic monsters and incursions can drop maps, which make their way into your item fountain. In the final temple, there's a room that drops a whole lot of maps. Of course, monsters in the final temple can drop maps if they are high enough level. How many keys will you find in incursion? It's random, but it can be more than one if you're lucky. What happens if you kill both architects in a room? It's not possible. We went over this the other day. It's not possible to kill both. If you kill one, the other one automatically has an animation to flee. You can't interact with them. Is it possible to complete all 11 incursions and not reach the apex of the temple? Yes, it is possible if you don't connect enough rooms. In other words, could you make an incursion that's got a really bad layout? Yes, in some cases it's also desirable, as you may prefer to focus on upgrading some of your other rooms. Some can lead to rewards even more valuable than those of the boss drops. So there's a hint at, hey, you may make a terrible decision and make a really bad looking temple and you don't get to the boss. Or you may make an awesome temple and we may come up with some sort of meta where it's actually better not to kill the boss. Who knows? GGG has been dealing with us as a player base debating whether or not it's worth it to kill bosses for, 4 years now, where we've gone off and on. So we'll see. This league, Chris Wilson has explicitly said, this is a built for speed, a need for speed sort of league. So if it's all about the speed, then maybe it's about, maybe there will be a meta that will come out for clearing the rooms of the temple rather than actually getting to the boss of the temple. Anyway, there's our hype video for today. Our countdown timer for Incursion is coming up. We're just, what are we, 18 days, 6 hours, 22 minutes, and 8 seconds away from Path of Exile Incursion. So get excited. I'm excited. Every single day this week we're going to be coming out with new videos and new hype. So if you've got questions or you're getting excited for PoE Incursion, go ahead and post them in the YouTube chats comment below.